If like right now isn't the time for you to be invested in Lego, then Lego will always be there for you. If you need to take a break, then by all means take a break. But if you're going through stuff, I find building a Lego set, and there's like satisfying aspects of it too. Finishing a model, I find that can be really relieving.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my response to that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to TFOL Talk, the podcast where we shine a light on awesome teen fans in the LEGO community doing amazing things, and maybe the occasional AFOL too. I'm Doodlebricks, aka Kavi, and today we're going to be hanging out with Four, otherwise known as FourStud. How are you doing, man?
Good. How are you, Kavi? Thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor to be here.
Of course, man, it's an honor to have you, and I'm doing good myself, thank you. So I'd say let's just hop into the first question, which is who is FourStud, and what do you do in the LEGO world?
I am, do I say content creator? Sure, let's go with content creator. I like to design custom minifigure mockups and custom set mockups on Instagram. I like to design in the fashion, I guess you could say, in the vein of like real products. I like to design conceptual mockups that emulate the look and feel of a real Lego product, something you'd see on the shelves. I've been doing it for about, oh my gosh, a decade at this point, honestly.
Really?
Ever since I was, yes, ever since I was a little kid. Somewhere on the internet, there's some really old Star Wars mock-ups with like no faces, no prints. They're just in digital designer. Um, but yes, I've been doing this for quite a while. It's something that I've always been passionate about for some reason. So, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon because I love it. It's like my one hobby that I've got going for me right now.
Wow, that is fantastic. Yeah, man, you like when you say that you go for like making products that look like they'd be made by Lego, like you really do that well. Like I'd say one of the best people that I've seen doing that personally.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I think we're definitely going to get into that a little bit later. But my next question for you is how and when did you get into Lego?
Oof. I want to say when I was a kid, my aunt, my aunt, she got me one of the Spider-Man 2 sets. It was not like a normal playset. It was one of those like weird Jack Stone 4 plus ones with the big figures. And I think that um, started my love for Lego as well. I mean, I've seen pictures of me as a baby. I saw like Duplo, but obviously I was a baby, so like I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, Lego, right?
Yeah.
But I think that started off like the whole Lego thing, and then it started the whole Spider-Man thing, because I've always loved Spider-Man as long as I've ever known. Yeah, it's had a really big influence on my life, both of those things. So like 2000, early 2000s then.
All right. That's awesome to hear. I love the fact that like you started with like the Jack Stone style like junior Spider-Man stuff. That stuff was so weird.
Yeah, those figures are weird. I still have
I
them somewhere in
have
a bin.
Yeah, I have like one of the Spider-Man ones, but the really weird thing about it is like you can't, like you can't separate the figures, but my one, the torso print is backwards. And I've always wondered about that.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't know if I have it here. It's somewhere. It like always just exists in my collection, but yeah, whenever I find it, I'll send you a picture, but it's so weird. I'm like, how did that happen? I wonder if that's worth anything. But yeah.
Yeah, people like those production errors.
Right, but dude, that thing's been like beaten up over the years. But anyways, so how did you
hmm
join the online Lego community then?
Well, are you talking specifically the Instagram or before?
Generally, wherever you first joined the online community.
Let's see. When I was a kid, again, um, I had my computer. I don't know. I want to say. I definitely started on like Eurobricks, if you guys know what that is. It's a forum. Um, and I lurked there quite a lot as a child. Back when, gosh, Indiana Jones, probably a little earlier than that. That all
Okay.
came out like 2008. And then I became a member. I just liked seeing what people had to say about Lego sets, what people had to say about upcoming things. I know at some point I joined Brickopedia, which was a an online wiki for all things Lego. I met a handful of people there. Um, don't quite know what got me started into building things. I think I just knew about Digital Designer and was like, oh, let's give this a shot. And then I started doing that. And then around 2018, 2019 is when I really started taking that stuff seriously. And I used to be a member on Flickr, but
Oh.
I got like no engagement on that site. I used to, but then I don't know what happened. It just fell off completely. So I was like, you know what? Let's move to Instagram because I feel like that's where a lot more engagement is, and I think that was absolutely the right choice because my audience has grown so much since 2018, 2019.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I just switched to Instagram and was like, you know what? I'm gonna stay here, and that's just how it's been ever since.
I see. That's really cool. You really like hopped around quite a few different platforms before like settling with Instagram.
Yeah,
What's it's cool that you started on like Eurobricks though, because I mean, it sounds like a lot of people like started there. Like that was kind of the first like big Lego platform, and then places like Instagram and Flickr started to grow their own communities after that.
I think Flickr was a really good place. I don't know how many people still use it. It was a really good place to post like really high quality images of your work, like like a professional gallery portfolio type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, every now and then I still upload like my backlog of my models on there. I don't think I've uploaded in quite a while. I'm hitting the limit soon because I
Oh
think you're
right.
only allowed to upload like 1,000 images, and
Yeah.
I'm at like 975. I don't know how I have that many pictures. I gotta go through it. Um, but again, like nobody was ever seeing anything. I add them to the groups, to the community groups for Lego, different sites, different themes, and whatever. But like nobody sees them, so I love putting my work out there. I want people to see, what I have to offer, essentially.
Absolutely. No, that makes total sense. I think like with Flickr, the people who use that more are more like the Bionicle community for like BioCup, if anyone's heard of that, which I used to participate in, or some other like more, I guess, traditional Lego builders. Like it still has its niche, but it's definitely nowhere as big as I've heard it used to be. But yeah, that's awesome, and you've definitely like grown a very substantial following on Instagram. What is it, 23,000 followers?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to see like where you've come from, where you described before, because like you've just made such a huge improvement journey, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy too, though. I can always improve. I'm always learning new things, learning new ways to draw, learning new ways to render and do graphic design. Because like I'm going to school for that stuff, so I like to apply what I've learned in class to a lot of my work online and vice versa.
Yeah, no, that's a very clever like use of your time. I'm glad to hear that. So, also may I ask how old you are?
Sure. Let's say early 20s.
Sounds good. So, I think this is a good point to start with our first our first viewer submitted question, which is by Flow Society, who asks, "What inspired you to start making custom sets?"
Hmm. I'm not sure if I can recall all the way back in 2011, 20, like, okay, let's say since I've been doing that since like 2012, let's say between 2012 to 2017, no idea. But everything after that is because mostly is because I'm dissatisfied sometimes with what Lego puts out. I feel like they are missing a lot of important characters, important scenes, important models, important themes. I'm sure they do their market research, or I'm sure, Lucasfilm or Disney or, whatever dictates what they put out. I'm not quite sure how the whole process works. I have a little bit of insight. I'm not too sure. But again, I feel like there are a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of inaccuracies, a lot of things that can be done a lot better, when it comes to certain sets, certain themes. So I guess my goal is to just try to improve upon that or show what's possible, what they could be doing.
Okay. I really like that, honestly, and like I appreciate that you do that because I definitely don't think you're the only one that feels that way about what Lego puts out sometimes. And it's really cool to see someone like you designing them in a way that is still very feasible for Lego to do, but adding the things that you and other people want to see in them, fixing the errors that you guys feel that we feel sets can have sometimes. So then that also leads well into the next viewer submitted question, which is by Superstar Rockin' J. She asks, "What is your thought process when designing a new set, minifigures, or a concept?"
Let's see. Let's see. I guess the first things that I do are like, okay, what hasn't been done? What do I want to see? What do I think? I mean, sometimes it's like a case by case basis because sometimes I'll make something that Lego would never do. But I try to make it in a way that I think Lego would do it if they were to do this. Um, I think of like, okay, size. Let's shoot for like $100. So that's gonna be about what, 1,000 pieces, 900 to 1,200 pieces probably, most likely for 100 USD American, whatever. Um, okay, it's got to be about this big. So that's probably gonna have about this many figures. This many are probably gonna have lots of printing or not as much printing. How many new pieces am I gonna have to design? Because every now and then I do, quote unquote, design a new piece. I don't know how to 3D model right now. I'm working on it, or I will get to it. So sometimes I combine existing pieces and then I do a lot of post-processing Photoshop work to make it look like a new element. Um,
Okay, that's cool.
yeah, I also tend to look at the box art for prices or sets in that price range, and I think, okay, how tall, how wide can this model be? How can it be displayed on the packaging to the
Oh.
best, like for the best effect, if that makes sense. Um, Minifigures, depending on how I feel in the moment, I will intentionally not do leg printing or arm printing. Sometimes I will if I'm feeling really extra. Um, I try to design faces entirely from scratch. I really try to capture the actor's likeness, which I feel Lego doesn't do too well sometimes. Nowadays, they recycle a lot of existing prints, and I'm sure it's for like cost efficiency reasons. Not that I agree with it. But I
Yeah.
I'm just really, and it gives me an excuse to like practice new eyelash styles, new eyebrows, new lips, new mouths. Um, just trying to capture somebody with a really difficult face. For example, Jeremy Renner. I've drawn him maybe 2 or 3 times. I still can't get him right. I don't know why, but he has a very difficult face to draw. No offense, Jeremy, big fan, but
He's gonna listen to this podcast and he's gonna be very offended by that.
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna continue that comment. No, but I try to capture the actor's likeness. I try to use the best colors. Um, I try to use current colors. But every now and then I will peek into the legacy color palette, as the site calls it that I use, like retired colors, the ones that they don't use anymore, and I'll use
Yeah.
like a different shade of like white or tan or flesh or something like that.
Go into the vaults a little
Um,
bit for colors.
Yeah. There's some good ones that they've retired that we need. We need a new sand red, some sort of pale red color for like lips and
D-
masonry bricks.
do we though? That's like the ugliest Lego color in my opinion.
Okay, but they would redo it. Think of like vibrant
True.
coral, but less saturated.
Fair enough. Yeah, I could see that. That would be
Yeah.
good. But yeah,
Um,
like the other day I was looking at like the one sand red piece I have and thinking, I see why they discontinued it.
yeah, yeah. What else did she ask? Sets, minifigures, and there was a third thing, I think.
And just the concept.
When designing things, I always try to keep stability in mind, and again, realism, as I've been saying. Um, like, I'm staring at Ahsoka's T6 Jedi shuttle, whatever it's called, on my desk right now. There's a lot of studs on there. I'm not a big fan of that, but I understand why they do it to try to make it, I guess you couldn't make most of these things. Like the wedge plates, like they all have studs. Not all of them are just smooth tiles. It, it
Okay.
it keeps the Lego look, I suppose, rather than just having everything smooth, As nice as that would be, it would look more like a mock. It wouldn't look official, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
I get what you're saying.
yeah, but again, stability is a huge deal to me. I always consider it. Like I'll design Technic frames for like a house. Like no one will ever see it. It's for me. Like under the floor or like a vehicle. I'll try to make sure that you pick it up in person and it won't fall apart. It's not
Yeah,
too heavy on one side, etc. These are important things that you need to consider when designing a product, especially a Lego product. Because things can bend easily. You can stress the bricks, you can stress the elements, and you don't want that. Otherwise, it's just not an enjoyable experience for the user.
exactly. That's really cool to hear that you like really make sure that the set like is stable and could actually be built even though like no one's going to see that. That's really cool to me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's important to me.
Yeah, because it's like yourself that like it actually could be a set if it were to be produced, right? It's like you have that personal satisfaction.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's all I've got for that response then.
I see. Now that's really cool to hear. I love as well what you said about the box art, how you take into consideration the size of like sets that would be within that price range of the set you're designing, and then how to shape the set to fit on the box. Because I never thought about it like that. I always assumed you design the model and then make the box fit the model. But that was really interesting to hear.
Hmm.
And can that be like limiting when you're designing a set? Like how much do you let the box art kind of decide the shape of the set and the
Uh,
size?
Sometimes it's very frustrating. Um, there was a set that I designed recently from the Barbie movie. It was her pink Chevrolet or convertible or whatever, her car.
Yeah.
And I had designed a secondary or a third build for that of one of the little tree houses from the movie, and it had two other figures as well. And I'll share this at some point. I don't scrap too much when it comes to stuff, but this was one thing that I had to get rid of, just because positioning it on the box became so frustrating to me. I just could not figure it out. I was like, you know what? As cool as this build is, I'm just gonna, scrap it. And for the bigger sets, like my most recent Batcave, Barbie's Dream House, the Spider-Man Final Battle from the third movie, um, sometimes I have to widen them because there's just so much in the set that I end up building, that I end up
I see.
including. So it does play a part in the size of the model.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting to hear. I never thought about that. I do wonder if Lego themselves actually do that because I just never took that into consideration. But I mean, I guess they have to a degree, right? Because the
Um,
set's got to look good on the box, no?
yeah, I think it all. I don't know for sure, but I think it has to do with the way that the boxes are displayed on the shelves in the stores, like the
Yeah.
planograms, which is the I don't know if you know what that is but for people who don't know, it's like the diagram of how specific products are laid out on the shelves. Like usually the
Yeah.
bigger stuff is on the bottom or on the top, stuff like that. The smaller things are towards the middle, um, such and such and such. Like again, I'll use the T6 shuttle as an example. It's a very tall model when it's in flight mode, and that's how it's displayed on the package. But the box is very wide. So on the left and the right, it's in the other room. On the left and the right of the box, or on the ship, of the ship on the box, there's so much just like empty space of just like space and galaxy and stars.
Yeah.
And I don't like doing that. For my models, I try to use the space on the front of the packaging like as much as I can. I will go edge to edge sometimes just to make sure that all of that space is properly used to show everything, in
Yeah.
the best way. Yeah.
Properly frame the model, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's really awesome to hear. I love that. So, would you ever consider working for Lego as a set designer? And is that something that you've wanted to do, or are you more just doing it just for the fun of it?
I'm not opposed to working at Lego. I think it'd be very fun. A lot of people tell me I've got the talent and the skill for it, which is it's always nice to hear. I have applied a few times, but I think I want to wait until I've obtained my degree so I can put that on like a resume. I can put it on a cover letter in my portfolio and everything. 'Cause I think product design is obviously something that um, I mean that's the job, that's the position, and having a product design degree would help. It would help. Um, so I'm working towards that. And then after all that is done, I think would be a good time to actually try for the position. But we'll
I
see,
see. Yeah.
It's, every kid wants to work at Lego, but I feel like it's such a competitive, highly coveted position that it's, at least in my experience, it hasn't been super easy to get into. But it'd be nice, I guess.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. I've heard a product design degree as well, like, is definitely something that's good to have for that. So that's cool to hear. If you could have any one of your sets be produced by Lego, part for part accurately, everything exactly the same as you've designed it,
Oh man.
what set would it be and why?
I've been asked this before and I never know how to answer it. I'd have to go look at my
Okay.
own portfolio.
Sounds good.
Um, Definitely one of the bigger ones, that's for sure. Oh, wait, no. Um, let's see. I feel like I'm always changing the way that I make sets and that I'm always making something better every year.
That's good.
If I think I'd probably redo the Stranger Things Starcourt Mall. Maybe that.
Okay.
Or there's a modern house that I built for the Bricklink Designer Program earlier this summer that I need to tweak and resubmit. I'm pretty sure that's soon. Um,
Okay.
it's you'll find it on my Instagram. It's a black and white house with a nice tree on the side. I'll be posting it again soon probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that one's special to me for reasons. Um,
Okay.
Probably
Any ones that you
that.
don't feel like need tweaking at all and you'd like just like to have produced as they are?
Probably the Modern House or
The modern house, yeah.
the Geonosis droid factory escape from Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the
Oh.
Clones.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
yeah.
that one I'm really happy with. That is a model that's a model of a scene that we haven't gotten yet that I think lends itself to the playset uh realm really really well.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot one could do with that.
I see why you chose those ones, especially like the Geonosian factory. Like you've really designed that set like to just work as a perfect play set with all the crazy features and all that. I see why you chose those ones for sure. And the modern house would be more of like a 18 plus style set then. So a question I was gonna ask, but I think you kind of already answered, is like besides the printed pieces and any of the custom pieces like accessories you've made, is it actually possible to build the models that you make in real life? And have you ever considered making instructions for them as well?
Um Probably almost always no, because I use a lot of elements in. I'm going to assume I don't check this every time. I don't check it ever. But I use a lot of elements in colors that they don't come in. Um, Especially for things like Barbie. I used a retired pink color for a lot of the models.
Oh.
I'm just going through all my sets right now. Yeah, the only ones that I know for a fact could be built are the Bricklink Designer Program ones because we are required to design them using pieces that they would be that would be in production in the
Is it the
future.
like
Yeah, I'm looking at my stuff right now. For the most part, I use existing colors, current colors. Again, very rarely do I dig back and use a retired color. They just introduced a new medium brown in a warm tan color, which have been really nice for things like hair.
did
And
they?
yes, like the Din Djarin, Mandalorian, Dom Toretto.
Oh, yeah,
Those
yeah,
that
yeah.
yeah, that's a new skin tone. And then I can't remember who's used the new black skin tone. But they're both really nice colors, and they need to make a lot of hair pieces in those colors. I think. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that'd be awesome. I love that. Love those colors.
Definitely. Okay, so then a lot of your sets you don't think could be produced just because like some of the pieces don't exist in those colors then.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably build the Batman Batmobile. You just wouldn't be able to have
Yeah.
the red windshield.
Okay.
You could probably build the red car, Poison Ivy's car. But yeah, for the most part, I'd probably assume you couldn't build most of them. And that's part of why I haven't started developing instructions because I don't want to be like, here are the instructions. Psych, the pieces don't come in the colors you need them to.
Exactly.
You know?
You can paint them.
Yeah, you can paint them, but that's not included.
Okay. I see, that makes sense. Do you think you want to start designing sets in a way that like they could be built in person color-wise, or are you fine doing what you're doing now?
I'm fine doing what I'm doing now. If I did that, that would require a lot more research and time and making sure every piece comes in a color that you can buy it in, you know, and that's a lot
Yeah.
of work.
I
A
don't
lot
blame
of
you.
work.
That makes sense. All right. Okay, now while we're on the subject of your custom sets, I do have a question which I wondered since I first saw this. On your, you designed a set from Spider-Man 2 from the Raimi trilogy of
Yep.
the reactor that Dr. Octavius makes. And I'm curious,
hmm
were you the one that came up with the concept of using the Ninjago Aeroblade piece for the Doc Ock claws? Because that's where I first saw it, and then after that I saw everyone else do it.
I want to say no. I think I definitely saw somebody else using it before.
Okay. Cool. I was just wondering that because that's where I first saw it, and then after that, I saw everybody else using it, and I was like, "Well, that's a pretty good technique."
Yeah, there's not really, from what I've seen, there aren't really good enough pieces to replicate that three claw look.
Yeah.
They, what was I just making? I was just making something from Portal 2. Um, and it needed, the build had three tiny legs, and they need like a good tripod piece, you know?
Yeah.
They just don't have it. So that'd be an element that I would like them to introduce in the future. Any
Yeah.
Lego
No.
designers, if you're listening,
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think
because
that would be a very helpful piece. Like you thinking like having like a bar connection and then just like three little legs that wouldn't necessarily connect to
yeah,
anything.
yeah, you can like connect little. Well, they don't have to connect, but like maybe you can put little bars on them, and that could be
Yeah.
used as like a flower stem or at the bottom of a grill, a
Oh yeah,
camera
yeah,
tripod, a
yeah.
cool lamp. I don't know.
A cool lamp. I like that. I see what
Yeah,
you're saying though. So kind of like the that three pronged Lego grass piece, but just bars and like slightly differently shaped.
yeah, probably something like that.
Cool. Sounds great. So I'm gonna ask some specifically TFOL related questions. So you kind of half answered this. So were you once a TFOL, and if so, what was your experience as one like? Did people ever give you a hard time for being a Lego fan as a teenager?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Yes and no.
Okay.
There was a day in high school where I watched my friends look up my username in front of me. Um, that was not fun. Um, I couldn't tell if they liked my work or not, but I didn't like that that happened at all. I
Yeah.
really wasn't happy about that. I think Lego is becoming more. I mean, who hates Lego? Who doesn't like Lego? That's
Right.
such a weird thing to dislike. I'm sorry. I've met people, specifically girls, who don't. Are like, it's not that they're not into it. It's just like they don't get it, and I just think that's so weird. But I think it's becoming more like normalized for people, I guess our age, younger, to be like, I see mostly Lego Star Wars. I see a lot of younger people liking Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
And with the introduction of the icons line, well, the
Right.
rebranding, like with the flowers and everything, those flowers were
Those
the
flowers, man.
yeah, the botanical collection. I've got a one sitting right there. Those, everybody wanted those. They're good for, building with your partner, building with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever. Um, and some other little nice little neat trinkets you can display on your shelf. I think that has definitely changed the public perception of Lego for younger people, and adults too, of course. I would love for, I think we're getting there, but I would love for it to be completely normal for anybody of any age to have an interest in Lego.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely. That's the goal, right?
yeah. My family has been pretty supportive of my hobbies. We've got a lot of Lego around the house. Every now and then I show my parents a model and they'll be like, "Oh, wait, that one's actually pretty cool."
Yeah.
Um, so that's always nice when that happens. My mom likes a handful of the Disney stuff and a handful of the Winter Village stuff. Uh, my dad likes a lot of the bigger things. We have a lot of the buildable Star Wars characters in his
Yeah.
office at home. We got like Grogu and R2D2 and Yoda and BB-8, and the Mickey and Minnie statues, which I think I gotta move out of there. Oh, the UCS Millennium Falcon is on display in there.
Oh,
Um,
just a small set. Just the
yeah,
Falcon.
yeah, just a tiny little, yeah. Um, but yeah, I hope that answers that question. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I mean, obviously enough, your family's been decently supportive of it from what you've said, but you haven't like necessarily no one's necessarily giving you a hard time for it being a TFOL. Then it was more just like kind of uncomfortable seeing people like your friends look up your account. Then.
There was God, I think I remember one day, and I don't remember who it was. One day in high school, I think someone was like, "You still do Legos? Are you gonna
Legos.
be one of those adults that plays with Legos?" And I don't remember if I said anything, but I'm pretty sure I just kind of held my tongue. Um, yeah, I don't know what I would have said at that point,
Hell
but
yeah, I'm gonna be. You're damn right.
probably, I think maybe I might have said something like that. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
for a moment it made me feel bad, and I hadn't thought about it until you asked me that question. But I mean, who cares?
Right.
Look at what it's gotten me. You know,
Exactly.
I will always be happy about what I do. Even if I don't like always talk about it with people in real life. Like I don't just go up to people and be like, I design Lego sets for a hobby. Um, but it's gotten me a lot of quote unquote connections. It's gotten me a lot of attention that I guess I never would have ever expected to get, I suppose. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful that I still do it. I'm always gonna love doing it. If I could just grow old and design Lego sets for the rest of my life, I think I'd be super happy. I'd be a-okay with that.
That sounds like a lovely goal, man. I'm really glad to hear that. That like you're very confident in like just who gives a shit because honestly, like that's so true. Like it doesn't matter what other people think of it. Like if they have such a problem with you just doing something as harmless as collecting Lego and like designing as well with it, like whatever. I don't know if that person is necessarily worth being a close person in your life, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, no, exactly. I'm really glad to hear that. Let's see. So, did you not have a dark age then?
I came very close to it earlier this year, for reasons I won't get into. But no, I don't think I've ever had a dark age. I think prior to this year, I did notice that I was buying less and less, but the sets that I was buying were like the giant 18 plus D2Cs.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I've got them all on display in a room, and I have no space for like I have Rivendell in my basement right now. I haven't opened it because I don't have space for it. Yeah, no, never, never,
Okay.
ever.
Cool, cool. That's good. I'm glad to hear. Yeah, did you have any friends who were also Lego fans when you were a teen?
Like in person locally,
I guess so, yeah. More so that.
I knew friends who owned Lego sets. I didn't know any
Yeah.
people who were hardcore dedicated fans such as myself. In
Okay.
person, online, tons. In person,
Yeah.
none come to mind.
Okay, that's cool. I don't think you're the only one there, but I get that. I was gonna say also, I just remembered something I wanted to say before about like the flowers. Is like I saw an Instagram reel recently, which was just like an aesthetic reel, and it was just like Lego flowers, and it just showed a bunch of photos of them in people's rooms. And like one of my friends shared it to her story, and she was like, "If someone gave me these, I would literally marry them on the spot." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I guess that's my sign to give whoever I'm interested in the future Lego flowers." But
Yeah,
seems like they're pretty good.
girls these days go crazy for them, I swear. You know, back when I used to use dating apps for a small everybody in their bio would be like first date, like perfect first date idea is building the Lego Botanical collection. And
Shit.
I'm like, yo, I've built all of them. Let's let's meet up, you know? Let's get a
Right?
blanket. Let's do it. Let's do it at a park under a tree or something and have a
Oh my
picnic.
god. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. That
Yeah.
that is a Lego fan's way to find love. The
Yeah.
botanical collection.
You know, Jay and I did that.
Hell yeah. I love that
Yeah.
so much. That's amazing. So, if Lego is going to start focusing on teens more, like they have with this whole Adults Welcome campaign, what do you think they could do for TFOLs to cater to them better?
Fortnite. No.
Yeah, though, honestly.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, let's see. Mainstream shows, movies, and television, or not television, video games for teenagers, whatever they're into these days. I don't even know what they're into these days. Um, I'm not that old. Why am I talking like
Yeah,
that?
no, you're making yourself sound so much
Uh,
older than you actually
I'm not
are.
that old. I'm not that old. A lot more gaming is important.
Yeah.
Things like the flowers are nice, though I'm not sure if teenagers these. I have a brother, he's 18. He's had not super moderate interest in Lego.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't really know if kids his age really care for that stuff outside of like Lego Star Wars. Um,
Okay.
'Cause I mean, like, what young teenage boy doesn't like Star Wars?
Fair.
I guess there are some that don't,
Some.
and those people are weird. The losers.
You're being called out if you're one of those people right now.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, that might be hard. The only thing I can think of is more gaming stuff and more things that are popular with them.
Yeah. No.
Like
I
if
have.
or musicians, like if they made a Lego
Ooh.
Taylor Swift set, and I know there have been like 3 or 4 Taylor Swift projects on ideas that have reached 10K already. Um, you would sell so many.
Oh
Like
yeah.
The BTS set,
Right.
that thing was pretty popular. Um, I think there is untapped potential. There's a market there for stuff like that. Um, but other than that, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely though. I think those are really good choices, and those are the things I always like talk about and campaign for. I think even though I'm not really a gamer myself, I think doing some popular video games would just be a fantastic idea because they're popular video games and people play that stuff, specifically teens. And as well as like just what's hot right now with like shows or movies. I think, I get it that like it takes a while to design a theme or a set. So they're not necessarily going to be out exactly when the thing's at its height of its popularity, but you can still like make some predictions, I think, and I think it's very much possible for them to do that. And they just don't. I feel like that sometimes it can be maybe not the smartest decision just because people are screaming, take my money for this stuff. And even people who I've talked to who like aren't Lego fans were like, yeah, it would be cool if Lego made a set on Fortnite is the first thing that comes to mind, but like, Avatar The Last Airbender, things like
Yeah.
that. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
I think most people here have probably seen how many ideas projects for those there have been. Hopefully they're doing it
Yeah.
because they keep denying them in the new shows coming out, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Um. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I think that would be really good. And yeah, I think, honestly, I mean, I wonder if they do play testing with teenagers. Like, I know they do it with kids, but I wonder if they do it with teenagers. Because I
They
think that'd
round
be
up a bunch
really
of like
valuable.
18-year-olds in a room and they're like, "All right, play with this."
Play, go. But like, I mean, honestly
What do
though,
I do with this? What am I supposed to do with this?
right? Exactly. Literally video. They're like, you
That's
you
so
guys
funny.
like you guys use TikTok, right? It's the same thing, no? And the just
Yeah,
look like
you guys like DJ Llama?
LLAMA baby.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, he died. He just stopped posting. It's sad, but yeah, no, that would be really funny. But I think like if they made a teen specific thing like that as well, that would be pretty cool. I think it would be really interesting to see that if they have done that. I think Bionicle, once again, was one of the things that really was great at catering towards teens. And then that also got the, younger kids market because the younger kids would see the teens playing with them and be like, oh, that's so cool. The big kids are playing with that. I want to play with that. And it kind of like, it just worked really well like that. Like, I know for me, when I was younger and I saw older kids playing with Bionicle, I was like, that's big kid Lego and I'm going to play with that one day.
That's big kid Lego.
Yeah, no, that was exactly what I thought when I was like 8 years old. I think that would be a pretty good move. Also, one thing I find kind of interesting is it seems to me, from my knowledge, that the Lego community is one of the only, like, I guess, fandom or collection communities that I know of that have a specific term for the age category of their fans. It's like, KFOL, kid fan, TFOL, and then AFOL. And it's kind of separated like that. Whereas in other fandoms or collection communities, I haven't really like seen anything like that. Have you seen anything like that or like heard some kind of like age separation in other worlds similar to that or nah?
Into it in another community, like non-Lego?
Yeah, like how in the Lego community we have AFOL, TFOL, and KFOL. Like I haven't
Oh.
seen that in other communities. It's just kind of you are the fan of that regardless of your age.
Yeah, no, I can't. No, I don't think so. I think other fan bases, other fandoms are just you are a Harry Potter fan, you're a Trekkie, you're a Doctor Who fan, you're a brony, etc., etc. You're not like a baby brony. I don't know why
A
that
baby
came to
brody.
mind, but you're just a fan of this thing. You're a
Yeah,
Marvel fan.
exactly. It's a really interesting thing how like the Lego community and like even other toy collecting communities I've noticed don't seem to have that kind of terminology, which is interesting. Just makes me think. All right. So the last of like the TFOL specific questions is how how would you think would be a good way of stopping TFOLs from going into their dark ages?
You know, um, Sometimes it's outside factors that they can't really control
True.
that make them lose interest in the things that once brought them joy. You know, Lego sets can be good stress relievers. I know sometimes when I'm in a really bad mood, um, I'll design something or I'll build a Lego set like in person. Um, I know during the pandemic, I believe, um, Lego was seen as a cathartic therapeutic experience for people. A lot of people started building Lego sets, and I think that is partially why we have the adults welcome campaign.
Yeah.
Um, you know, if like right now isn't the time for you to be invested in Lego, then Lego will always be there for you. If you need to take a break, then by all means take a break. Um, but if you're going through stuff, I find building a Lego set and there's like satisfying aspects of it too, finishing a model. I find that that can be really relieving.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's my response to that.
That's really cool. I haven't heard a response like that, but I like that a lot. Like, more so that you don't think there's necessarily a way to specifically do that. More like it's okay to take a break, but you can come back to it as well.
Yeah.
I like that. Because that is really true. Like, you don't have to constantly be thinking about or participating in things like that if you just feel like you need a break from it. But that also doesn't mean you have to completely cut it off either. You can, like, always come back to that afterwards because it made you happy. And that's really cool. I like that a lot.
I'm glad.
All right. We have another viewer submitted question by. I need to figure out how to pronounce this name. Hold on. Standart. Wode. Stand.
Oh, I know him. Hey
Okay,
man.
how do you pronounce this username?
No idea, but I know who he is. He's in one of my
Okay,
Discord servers.
cool, cool. We have a viewer submitted question by Standart Wood
Wow.
Woad Woud
Woud? I'm not
Woud.
sure.
I'm
I'll have to
so
ask him.
sorry. You got to tell us how to pronounce your username. But he asks, do you have any real pet peeves within the Lego community?
Oh gosh, where do I start? The leaker community is definitely my biggest pet peeve. As someone who has had a lot of experience in that realm, I've seen what it's turned into, and I've seen the people in it these days, and I've seen their attitudes and their behaviors around this. A large sense of entitlement and uh, exclusivity. Um, Not a cult. What's the term? Some with a C. I don't know. I don't like it.
Click?
Yes, thank you. Yes, very clicky.
Yeah.
Um, People value money and clicks and engagement over, I guess, morals, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know just how much we've lost because of leaked products, but it's definitely like the way Lego handles product reveals these days is so close to release. Um, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Things are so tightly kept, um, close to the chest, and there's a lot of people to blame for it. I am thankfully not involved in that anymore, and I kind of resent all of that these days. Pet peeves, or I feel like a lot of it would just be me attacking certain groups of the community. That, and then I guess people who are just mad that we're not getting Classic Space and Castle and Cowboys and Wild West, even though those are the same thing, and monorails and everything from like the 80s and the 90s. Kids don't like that anymore. Obviously, that's why we're not getting them. Pirates too. That's
Ooh,
why
that's
I th I think that's why they are either single release creator sets or giant 18 plus models because those are the only markets that will buy those products. And it's okay if we have some licensed themes. Do we have too much? Maybe. But as we've seen, original ideas like Video and Nexo Knights, they don't always do that well. Um, as much as I love original themes like that, I miss some. Dreams is okay so far. Um, it's just not how it used to be, and you just kind of have to accept that, I guess. Um,
okay.
Lego's just the way that they behave. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think that's
Yeah,
an unpopular opinion. I definitely have heard that one a lot.
yeah. And there's people. Back when the BTS set was revealed, there were so many people on like Brickset like saying, "What is this? Why are we getting this? I've never even heard of BTS." But it's like as much as I don't like K-pop, there's a reason they picked that set, and
Yeah.
it rhymes with honey. And you know, it's a good, yeah, it's a good business decision, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it
I
definitely is. I mean,
yeah,
I remember the designer of that set, JB Brick Fanatic, he said, like, on a podcast specifically, that that set was not designed for Lego fans. It was designed to get other people into Lego.
yes, I agree. I can see that. Um, and I think it succeeded. Hopefully, you know,
Hopefully.
I doubt they'll make another BTS set, but this is where
No.
my earlier comments about like Taylor Swift come in. You're bringing in people who they see Lego, they go, "Oh, you know, cool. I used to play with that as a kid." To like, "Oh, wow, like Lego Taylor Swift. That's like a cool thing." You know, I'd love to own that. I'd
Yeah.
love to put that on a shelf and collect it.
Exactly. People enjoy things that are like recognizable to them, especially if they're like not already in the space, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And my god, a Lego musician theme, like take video, take the licensing you did for like using the Universal Music artists, but put that towards making like actual sets of them because oh my god, that would do so well.
Yeah, imagine like I'm not saying this is what I want specifically, but like Lego Ariana Grande and like
Yeah.
I don't know who's popular, Doja Cat and
AJR.
I don't know
I
who
don't know
that
if they're in
is.
Universal Music. You don't know AJ? Okay.
That doesn't sound familiar. Maybe I know them, but just like big name singers, you know,
Yeah.
musicians, iconic musicians, Michael Jackson, Queen, yeah, Prince, stuff like that. You know, just imagine people like when Lego versions of things they recognize come out. They like it when they do those, you know, collaborations, those brand collaborations. Um,
Yeah.
and doing things like that will bring more people into Lego. Though I don't think Lego should be entirely dependent on recognizable IP.
Definitely not. I agree. I do think they also need to lean more into the original themes. I found that interesting what you said before about how you don't think kids are into those kind of classic subjects of like space, castle, and pirates. I don't know, honestly. I don't enjoy I don't like kids really, so like I don't really have like much experience with the stuff they like. But I mean, I'm not that far out from being a kid, and I can say that I think that would still like generally not like the classic style anymore per se because that was very much a product of its time, but I think the general subjects, especially space and medieval slash fantasy castle stuff, generally would do pretty well because those are still popular topics in pop culture.
Yeah, it's like with the Bricklink Designer program, um, you know, half the winners are like trains and castles.
uh,
It's like, come on,
yeah.
let's get more ideas. The Mushroom House that just recently won, one of the best models I've ever seen,
Yeah.
wholeheartedly deserved that winning spot. Um, but I can't help but wonder what else we could have gotten that wasn't another train, another Wild West saloon,
Yeah.
another castle or sci-fi ship.
Absolutely. I'm not much of a fan of the trains myself, I will admit. Like I like fantasy castle stuff, that's for sure. I'm not into like the more historically accurate, that's kind of boring to me, but like the orcs, dragons, all that stuff, it's like bring that
I
back.
I purchased the Lion Knight's castle not because I like castle, but because it was a really good build. And it was a
Yeah.
really good build. That thing is so detailed inside and out. But almost immediately after own or finishing it, I was like, why did I buy this?
Really?
That's that's like $400 I could have spent on literally anything else. You know, I got the
Wow.
experience of building it out. I got my experience out of it. Now I want to like return it, you know, just sell it maybe, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting.
so like I yeah. It's more so for the experience than for the fact that I have any interest in Castle, which I do not.
That's fair. Throw like a dragon on it to make it more interesting or something, you know?
Yeah, even my dad, when I was building it at home, my dad walked by and was like, "Interesting. Like, why did you get this one? It's just a gray block." And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, I get what you mean, but yeah, I was
The
more for
build.
the, yeah, the build.
That's interesting. I know there is like a company, it's more for kids. I heard about it years ago that does like Lego sets for rent. Like they'll send it to you, the kid builds it, keeps it for like a week, and then sends it back. It's an interesting process. But yeah, that's interesting to hear. So you have mentioned Ashen Flash does help you out with a few little aspects of some of your builds, if I'm correct, yeah?
Um, we have a group chat, him, me, and a friend of mine, or Pen, where I'll just be like, I'm building this. What do you guys think? And every now and then they'll chime in with ideas, and sometimes I incorporate them into the models. So yes, every now and
Okay.
then they'll just help me out by suggesting a small thing or something maybe a little bit bigger. But yes,
Yeah.
my friends do help me a lot. I'm not too public with like works in progress,
Yeah.
WIPs. Yeah.
Whips.
I whips. uh but yeah, my friends do help me every now and then when I need some input on a model that I'm making
Okay.
or a minifigure, anything really,
Yeah.
boxes and such and such.
That's cool to hear. It's always like good to have like I guess other perspectives on what you're working on as well. It helps to like I guess fine tune stuff. It's good to like collaborate like that. But I guess that's more like getting feedback, but still. That's always a good thing to have, I've heard. So you have actually designed some products that have been distributed, no? If I'm correct, you've done some stuff for Roblox years back, and then you've also done a custom minifigure with the company Jackabrick, right?
Yes, I've designed over I want to say 30 Roblox characters that have been turned into physical toy figurines that are I don't know if any of them are still for sale. I think they retired the Roblox toy line this past spring,
Okay.
unfortunately. And then with Jackabrick, I've collaborated with them twice on a couple of minifigures, one of them being Wednesday Addams, based on the Wednesday show that came out last fall, which the figure, I made the mock-up and it went viral. I'm not kidding, millions of likes on TikTok and Twitter. I think some of the actors from the show saw it. I don't know if Jenna
Dude.
Ortega herself saw it, but I know like the male leads saw it and posted about it
Whoa.
on their Instagrams.
Dude.
Um, we sold a decent chunk of those. That was the first time I've ever had my work physically printed and in hand, so that was pretty
Right.
awesome.
That must have been a crazy experience to see that.
It was. Someone got it tattooed on their body. I have that photo somewhere.
Right. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Um, and then we just did one based on Spot or the Spot from Across the Spider-Verse, which
Yeah.
we didn't really advertise too much. Um, but
Is that
it's out there. It's a thing.
is it for sale right now or is it not released yet?
I just messaged them about that earlier today. I don't know if there's any left, but there might be. If you're curious, there's a post about it on my Instagram. You'll be able to find it because it's a picture of the Spot from
Yeah.
Spider-Verse. Um, and we're definitely open to doing more soon, although they are not keen on a lot of the suggestions that I've been making recently, which is irritating.
Well, that
No
sucks.
disrespect, Jaka, but yes, I do enjoy working with them, and I'm super grateful that they've been like helping me turn my work into reality, which is super, super, super cool.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's really just amazing. And like seeing I can just imagine like seeing your this art to be like turned into reality. Like a physical thing you
Yeah.
can hold is just like it just must be such a weird feeling.
That's why at Brick Fair this past summer it was so cool seeing someone have my Wednesday Addams figure on display. And I heard that they wanted to meet me. So I
Oh.
found them, introduced myself and they were like, "Oh my gosh." And like they instantly like shook my hand and they're like, "It's so nice to meet you. I love the figure." And I'm like, "Really? That's so great."
That's amazing. Oh my god. On that topic actually, hold on. I gotta show you this. God damn it. I'm gonna find it after the call probably. But it was when I was still in New York on the trip, and I walked by this stand and somebody was selling a bunch of knockoff minifigures, and one of them was a
Oh
Wednesday Adam that
no.
looked peculiarly similar to yours, and I was
Yeah,
like, oh
there's like
god.
5 or 6 of them. People, that is one of the more like, why did that become popular? You know, of all things, I feel like, the Addams Family as an IP has never really been that big, at least from what I've seen. And then
No, but
this show comes out, and like everybody loves it. And I'm
yeah.
like, you know what? I watched it. I like the show. I'll make a figure for it. And that went viral. And it's just like, you never know what's gonna pop off one day.
Yeah, no, it's can be really unpredictable, but it's interesting to kind of like try and see like what is going to. Because when I first saw that like Wednesday was going to be a show, I looked at that and thought, my God, that is going to flop. That is such a weird concept.
I mean, I remember tracking that when it was first announced. Tim Burton, okay, sure. Jenna Ortega, absolutely. And then we saw the first look, and I was like, okay, she looks pretty good. And then they announced more of the cast, and I'm like, all right, I see what they're doing. Um, and I mean, Netflix doesn't really have a lot to offer these days that isn't Stranger Things. So I mean,
Yeah.
and once that films and airs in the next 2 years, what are they gonna have in terms of, um, longevity with their shows and their franchises?
I'll
Oh,
figure out
Avatar.
something else. Oh,
Yeah,
Avatar.
right,
Yeah, yeah.
Avatar. Yeah. One
Oh,
Piece. One Piece is doing pretty good. I haven't watched it yet. I really want to watch it.
right. I
Um,
that's inspired me to actually watch like the One Piece anime because I haven't, and I
isn't
like
it like
long shows.
900 episodes or something? Like a
I think it's
thousand
at 1,000 at
episodes?
this point, but I like stuff that like there's a lot to watch because people always complain they're like, oh, it's too long, but then when they get to the end of it, they're like, oh, I want to watch more of it. So it's like, which do you want?
Yeah, I've been rewatching Star Wars Rebels right now because of the Ahsoka
Oh,
show. I
yeah,
really want to buy the new Ghost. It's a little expensive, but
yeah.
I really, really want to buy it. Um, yeah, I haven't really been in a sit down and watch a show, sit down and watch a movie mood the past
I
couple of
feel you.
months.
Yeah, I've been needing to rewatch the Clone Wars because I like binge watched that back in like 2016, and then the
Hmm.
seventh season came out a little while later, but I had forgotten everything that happened prior, and I tried, but oh my God, it's so hard to get through the first few seasons. Like it's genuinely painful. So I have yet to rewatch that, and then I need to watch Rebels as well. I need to catch up a lot on my Star Wars shows. Let's see.
Your Star Wars shows?
Yeah, I need to catch up on them.
Eh, you're not missing out on too much.
Yeah, but like they have lore that's woven in, and I'm someone who really likes stupidly complex lore, and I like to know
Sure,
what's going
sure.
on.
Yeah.
Like I
I
know right
have.
now the Ahsoka show, it's like it's connected to Rebels, and it's like okay.
Oh yeah, I feel if you haven't watched Rebels or you don't know the characters at least or have a general sense of what happened, you are going to be very lost in this series and not get as much out of it as someone who has watched the show would.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
'Cause I mean like there's characters from the show and then there's little callbacks here and there and it's just like yeah, I put off Rebels for so long just because I thought the animation style was kind of ugly. Still
Yeah,
kind of
it is.
is. Still kind of is, but I ended up enjoying it a lot when I was watching it. So I
Yeah,
don't even remember when that was. Whenever the uh,
that was like
2018,
20.
I think that's when I
No,
watched. I
oh
was
sorry.
watching it in 2018. I think the fourth and final season had just finished airing, or it was airing at the
Okay.
time. So I just binged the whole show.
Yeah. I love that, Rebels was hated when it first came out, so nobody bought the sets, and then, like, afterwards they loved it, and then, like, now nobody has the sets, so it's like they're super expensive.
I was so angry that I didn't buy the Ghost, no, the Phantom, like the second
Yeah.
Phantom with Thrawn.
Right?
I
Dude,
remember,
it's.
I remember back then I was like, oh, I should really get that. I really like the show. And then Ahsoka and the Ghost, and I'm like, why didn't I buy it? He's so expensive now.
It's stupid. It's stupid expensive. That's one thing. Like, on one hand, Lego investing is really cool because, like, oh, you can genuinely make money off of this thing that you already enjoy. And on the other hand, it sucks because you can't then get your hands on some older stuff that should not be that expensive, but it is.
Yeah, you go to the things at Brick Fair. Oh my gosh, those people were
Mm.
so like you have these families who don't know how ripped off they're being
Yeah.
and it's just like They had like a green grocer or something for like $1,000 on one of the shelves, and I was like,
Green
okay, that makes
grocer?
sense. One of the first modular buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so expensive. There was a Voltron set. I remember
Oh,
specifically
yeah.
we looked at a Voltron set. That was like what, 200, 250, something like that, maybe 300. I don't remember. But they were selling it for like 800, 850. And I was like, yeah, that's insane. Who's gonna buy
Yeah.
that?
My God. Yeah, I was tipped off by like just people there. I think it's generally known that like the vendors tend to be overpriced, and I see why they do that now. But yeah, it's like some of the stuff when I was at Brick Fair, I was like, okay, like that genuinely seems like a decent price. And then some of it, like you said, I can't remember which, but there was just a certain set that I looked at that was just painfully overpriced, and I was like, that just hurts to look at. Like that's just not worth that. It is so bad.
Yeah, it was really cool just being able to see some of those sets that I've known about for a while, like, but I've never seen them in person, like the boxes.
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool to like hold them and be like, wow, like I got to hold a copy of one of these models that like is so coveted and so beloved that I never got to experience because I was so young. I
Right.
was such a little baby.
Exactly. I have that with Bionicle because by the time it ended, I was 5 years old. So like I was too young to experience it. So now I'm going back and like actually seeing the stuff. And at Virginia, actually, I picked up like the one Bionicle set that I had always had my eye on, which is the Scopio XV. It is like the coolest thing ever, and it was for like general like Bricklink price used, and it's in like really good condition. And it's so cool to like just see that like this thing used to be on shelves and things like Bionicle and all that, and then to then see it being sold again, crazy. Like
hmm
it's a very cool experience. Yeah, the yard sale is where it's at for anybody who doesn't know. Like save your money for that.
Next year.
Exactly. All right, so I have another question. You used the digital Lego building program that Lego produced, which was called LDD, Lego Digital Designer before. But from my knowledge, they shut it down back in 2018, 19-ish. So do you still use that? And if you don't, what program do you use now? And how do you feel like it compares?
So I still own Lego.
I do
I'm
love
gonna
me
s-
some Lego.
Lego Digital Designer. They didn't shut it down. It's just not being updated anymore. It was
Okay.
retired as a service, I guess. Um, I still use it. Um, what I can at least. It doesn't have all of the new pieces in there, but I will usually build in there first and then import it to a website called Mechabricks, which is just it's a free online software. It's basically Lego Digital Designer, but online with some new pieces, not a bunch. I wish the guy would add more minifigure elements
Yeah.
like hairs. We give him a lot of crap for that. um,
No, I agree.
and I will tweak some things in there, colors, positioning, angles, and then with that, it has this really incredible rendering, this rendering software with lighting and lamps and cameras and stuff like that. And I use that for things these days, and it's much, much better.
Oh,
I'm really glad that I made the jump because Mechabricks is just such high quality
okay.
when you know how to use it, you know?
That's cool. I thought I would assume that you would import it into Blender to do the final renders.
Oh, I have no idea how to use Blender. I've never used it in my life.
It's
It
definitely worth
is.
a check out. I'm not very good at it, but like it's pretty good for that stuff.
Yeah, I really want to because once I learn how to 3D model, I tell my friends this all the time. Once I learn how to 3D model and design my own custom Lego pieces, it's over for everybody. You know, I'm gonna start making the best stuff. It's gonna be so awesome. I'm gonna make these really cool minifigures and these new elements that I think we should get.
Ooh,
Um, and plus 3D modeling is just an important part of my industry, my program, my major, whatever. I
yeah,
don't have too much experience with that. I do have experience with some programs, but they're more industrial than they are like artsy creative, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I'd really love to dip my toes into that at some point. Hopefully soon.
I see. That's really cool. I mean, hey, if you need to start with Blender, The donut tutorials. I don't know if you've
I
seen the memes,
yeah,
but
I heard about that. Yeah, I was just talking to
yeah,
someone about that in class last week. They're like, the donut, you gotta learn the donut. Everyone does
right.
the donut.
I'd recommend doing that soon though, because I know Blender like updates, and then the guy only does like a new tutorial like every time Blender does like a new version. So like when I did the tutorial first, it was out of date, and it was genuinely so painful. Like I was in
Was
the
it?
comments half the time. So the sooner you can do it to like before it gets updated to the next one and he has to make a new one, I'd recommend it, because buttons get moved around and he's like, you click this button, and I'm like, the button's not there. What do you mean?
Yeah,
But
you open Blender and it's like 50,000 buttons and all these weird
yeah,
little boxes with like lines attached to them, and I'm like, huh? How do you
exactly.
know this? And these people just lots of learning and lots of practice. I just can't do that.
You should join the Discord server Blender Bricks. I can send you an invite if you want, and that's like a specific community dedicated to. No, I know Blender like well, Lego Blender just enough to do the renders for the podcast and then like basic animation, but I definitely plan on learning that one a bit more because it does seem like a good tool, and as we can see, it can be used for some pretty crazy stuff. If you've seen anything about the Lego Blender animations,
Yeah, the kid who did Spider-Verse,
right?
and he's like what, 14, 15?
He's 14 years old, yeah.
So much talent. So cool.
It was so cool. But I mean, like, I knew that there was going to be a Lego scene in the movie because they had mentioned that in a press release, which is really
I
dumb.
wish they hadn't, because that would have been a
Right? Like,
nice surprise.
why? But yeah, like, when I watched the movie, I was like, that looks a little bit like it was done in Blender. That looks like the Mecha Face add on. They didn't use that for a
Mm.
blockbuster movie. Oh my god, they did.
You should
Like, that
talk to the
was.
Mecha Bricks guy about that. He's very, very happy about that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say he was angry or something because I know there's like a commercial use thing with
That
that.
was that
And.
was that was sarcasm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
hasn't spoken about it in a while. So I don't know.
Interesting. Because I know he's like I saw on Mechabricks that he shared the tweet that Preston is the kid's name. I know that he like first recreated the trailer for Spider Verse, and I saw that he like shared that on the website and was like, "This is a good use of Mechabricks." But yeah,
Yeah.
wow, that's interesting. But yeah, so anyways, we completely diverged from the topic, I realized, but no, that's really cool to hear. I was gonna say that's funny because like I know you don't like Studio, but personally I can't stand like Mecha Bricks. Like I know it just enough to make the minifigures and a few basic builds, but for some reason just the way it works is so infuriating to me. So I,
I
I
I
prefer
don't
Studio.
I don't build on Mecha Bricks. I build in Digital Designer and I do all
Yeah.
the positioning in Mecha Bricks. I don't like
Okay.
Studio because the models are so low poly, so low
Are
quality.
they?
Yes, the studs are like octagons or something.
Oh
That's
God.
how low poly they are. And the renders are not very good. I do not like
The
the
renders
renders.
aren't great. Yeah, I don't
The
blame you.
rendering
Those
software is not good.
It's not. But for me, I just find the building experience to be a lot easier there. Though I know you can build in that and then export it and put it into Mecha Bricks, so maybe that's worth doing as well for anybody who wants to do that.
You can do that with Studio, are you sure?
Pretty sure. I think I saw a video about how you can export it in a file format that throws it into Mecha Bricks. Yeah,
Okay.
no. Tommy, like Tommy C Bricks, he did that.
I know that name. I don't remember where from, but I do know that name.
He's like a big like a YouTuber, so like
Ah.
he's done stuff with Blender and all that, so he did that. But yeah. So my final question for you is: do you have any advice for TFOLs?
In regards to being a Lego fan or being a creator or what?
Anything that you feel like would be valuable advice?
I know what I said earlier about if you feel the need to leave the Lego community, it'll always be there for you. I just wouldn't ever give up the creativity. I guess if you like to design and build things because of Lego, I know I do. Keep honing that. Keep honing that skill, that talent, and apply it to things in life, I guess. Just enjoy Lego. Just enjoy it. Just love it, appreciate it, build it.
Yeah.
That's all I can really think of.
I think that's good, honestly, and I do like what you said about like it's okay to take a break as well. Like you're not you're not a heathen for doing that as well.
Oh, if a cool hairpiece or something like that comes out in a Lego set and it's in like a set that's like $100, give it like a year or like half a year, and I guarantee you it'll come in a smaller set.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah,
Just
but
wait,
yeah,
and it will come.
just just wait. Maybe a year and a half. Things will go on sale. There'll be discounts, and I'm sure that figure you want in the biggest set will be recycled in a $20 battle pack later on.
Hopefully. That's what we hope. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, FourStud. It was awesome having you. And before we end this episode, do you have any social media or other things like that you'd like to plug?
Obviously, my Instagram at FourStud. I have a Twitter at FourStud underscore. I don't think I have anything else. I won't bother linking my Flickr because there's nothing really new on there. Just Instagram and yeah, mostly Instagram. Just Instagram at FourStud. Feel free to look at my stuff. Shoot me a follow or whatever, and I will always be making stuff for you guys to enjoy.
All right.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for all the good questions. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into my creative process for those who are always asking me how I do stuff. Yeah, no, thank you for having me on here.
Of course, man. Thank you for coming on. It's been a really fun conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
Me too. Thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. It means the world, and I hope you enjoyed. Links to the things and people we talked about will be in the description as always. New episodes now release once every 2 weeks on Tuesdays for TFOL Talk Tuesday, and you can find updates, announcements, and more regarding the podcast over on my Twitter or Instagram, and maybe Threads, all of which are at Doodlebricks. Anyways, that's all for now, and we'll see you all later.